Hi, my name is Daphne, and today it is, mid-July, and it is about 80 degrees out here, and the humidity is closer to like 80 or 90 itself. And I'm sitting under an umbrella because the humidity and the heat, it's just making for a very humid, very hot, very rainy summer. No problems with it though, because it seems like all of the plants have exploded because we've had like off and on like a week's worth of rain, and I haven't quite been out here in about a week. So there's a lot of weeding and a lot of rain barrels or bird watering basins to actually dump out. But all the same, I'll give you guys a garden tour to let you see what's happening in this mugginess of July in Ohio, zone 6B, 6A, 6B, one of the two. We do still have some raspberries, but for some reason my mulberry tree did not actually produce a wide variety of mulberries this year. Like typically it produces so much that it just dumps the fruit onto my garden space. Did not do that this year. And the problem with that is that because it did not produce a bunch of mulberries, the birds have been attacking my other stuff because they don't have a food source. So in the absence of their natural food source, they've been eating my raspberries and sneaking under the tarp to eat my blackberries. They're aggressive. I'm actually worried about my elderberries too when they start to develop. So we're gonna have to deal with some predation. Let me show you around and I'll show you the garden mid-July and all of its beautifulness. Let's go. We do have some birds I actually saw checking these out. I'm definitely gonna have to be more adamant about checking up on the berries as they develop. I have a feeling that we might not have so many to harvest. Look at all of this growth. Beautiful up there. Also have our blueberry section, which is beautiful. And some of the birds have actually literally just like consumed the vast majority of the berries we had. You can tell that when some are actually starting to getting ripe because they're actually trying them out. These aren't really ready yet. I've been trying to push them away from like the actual vines, but let's see. It hasn't been working. I haven't gotten a ripe berry in the last week. Like they'll eat them from the bottom, they'll go underneath the sheet and get them. I'm not exactly sure how to protect them. I actually tried the tool bags I use for the strawberry plants, and they'll like literally a raccoon is actually eating through the bag. They're relentless. Let me move this away from the fence line. I mean, it's beautiful though. I mean, it's a blessing to actually have fruit in your backyard if you can actually consume it. But look at that one. That must have been a nice one. The blackberries have been the strawberries have been interesting. I do believe that the batch of strawberries I purchased might have had a blight. And so you do get this yucky little, and I actually had these on the first few strawberries that I received. Actually were really blighty and just were turning dark before they even fully produced or fully ripened. It does seem like the next strand of strawberries have actually started to look a little better, and they're still putting on flowers, which is pretty exciting. I did pull a few leaves off that I saw might be turning like just yucky colored. And this one I actually might pull. This is a offshoot from the last surviving strawberry from last year. Well, maybe it looks healthy enough. I was actually going to replace it with this one. Just in the fall, just take this one and just put it there, but maybe not. We do have a couple of more, some more that actually rooted. So this one rooted here, this one rooted here, and they can't stay there. So I might end up replacing this one. But these plants did do a good job of sending off runners, and the runners are very healthy. Here's a runner here. And we do have some strawberries, so let's see. We have two in there. We have some more in the tool bags here. This one's just coming along. It's going to need a tool bag soon. These as well, and actually these are not blighty, so maybe it was just the first fruits because they had recently been planted. these can come off. It actually looks like this one is rotted. So I'll tear those off. Yeah, that one's blighty too. See, I thought about ripping these strawberries out, but it looks like the second batch isn't as bad as the first batch, so maybe I'll give them another year to see what they do. And over here is our Sun Sugar cherry tomatoes, which are finally putting on some flowers. I don't see any tomatoes, and I do believe last year we might have actually had tomatoes, so I don't know if it just had a really bad start, because the tomatoes when they came out were kind of poor because of the soil quality. Hopefully they catch up a little bit. I did fertilize the beds, and we've had a ton of rain. Maybe they'll catch up. I do need to come back and take the St. John's wort. I didn't want to take the flowers because the bees like them, but the purpose of growing it was to harvest it. So I'm actually just going to top it probably tomorrow morning before the bees come out. But look at the color of their pollen. I'm sorry, I'm in your way. Now over here, I actually planted some red bergamot that was started in the house. It had a rough start just because of the soil quality, but it's actually doing amazing now planted in here. I did have some sweet marjoram, but it perished horribly just because of it being in the shade of the lemon balm and the St. John's wort. So hopefully the bergamot actually stands a chance, and then next year it'll be planted out into the bergamot bed. Here we have various assortments of spare chocolate mint, which I did not need, but it was growing in the walking paths. I have some sage, which I will up pot, and hopefully it'll be ready for Thanksgiving. We have some Tulsi, surviving Tulsi. We have thyme here that could use a trim, and then we have some hyssop there, various amounts of lavender and mint. It's a mess. It really does need to be cut. Although we do have some white sage, and she is, yeah, we have some white sage, and she is absolutely beautiful. Look at that. I don't think this is white sage here, but yeah, absolutely wonderful. Probably should pinch it off and see if I can get this to bush out. I just don't know if sage works that way though, but let's see. I pinch it off and see if she grows out a little more. And then this little one has a ton of squash. This is definitely a squash here. Look at this. I don't know what we're gonna do with all this yellow squash. Haven't had any other variety yet outside of the, what do you call it, the white patty pan. But I'm okay with that. And then over here we do have our cabbage, which I actually did up pot. I planted some food scraps on the inside of the containers, but these little plants could actually use a bigger container, so they will be up pot into 5-gallon buckets as soon as I get the chance to drill some holes in the buckets I have. But they're fairly healthy. I sprayed them all down with some BT like a week ago, but they might actually use another spray down just because of the rain, so I have to do that soon. We have, I think this one is another patty pan. Nope, little yellow squash there. I think this one planted in here is a patty pan. Yep, definitely a patty pan. Look at that. And then our little patty pans over here as well. Aren't they gorgeous? I do see some vine borer damage. I'm hoping that the BT actually caught it in time, but I'm going to have to actually spray them down again. They do actually look quite healthy, but I do want to spray them down again and also add some diatomaceous earth. It's just that we do have some rain coming in, so I don't want to waste product. Then over here in our greens raised bed, we do have our leeks, which are growing in pretty strong. They do need to be topped. I kind of think that might actually make the difference with a lot of them. Some of them are relatively skinny, probably because of the lack of rain a few weeks back, but looks like they're getting up some size and could probably stand to be separated out. I did spray this entire bed down with BT and diatomaceous earth, but this one was already getting eat up quite a bit. I actually left this plant in here just as a, seems like everything likes this plant, so maybe as a sacrifice plant. Like if it'll just eat that and leave everything else alone, I'll be okay. But this bed could actually use a spray down again, so I'll hit it up again with some diatomaceous earth and some BT. Maybe tomorrow because there's some rain coming in today. But look at this. Isn't she gorgeous? Could probably take these leaves too, but it's beautiful. And our mustard greens here. I think those are turnips back there. All we need is a little bit of sunlight to perk them up. But they'll be wonderful for Thanksgiving. Hopefully they last that long. And in the forest, the enclosed garden space, we have our flowers finally coming in. Look at that. Peppermint zinnia here. And I think that might be a violet zinnia coming in there. And behind it we have, I think this might actually be a honey nut squash. I think I did plant a few that survived, and it is all over the place now. I just don't see any fruit. But we also do have our tomatoes here. I think this one might be an Amish paste, and we do have little tomatoes coming in, but we definitely have some flowers, so that's encouraging. And they actually didn't need the stakes at this point. I'm actually glad I pushed them towards the gate because when that storm came through, it would have blew them all down. This one's going to need to be pushed back as well. I only see a few flowers. Don't see any fruit. It's a Dr. Witchy's. Can we take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this basil? We have to come out and take some of it. It's delicious. This one's a Dr. Witchy's. See a couple of flowers coming in. I don't see any tomatoes. And we do have a beautiful zucchini here. I don't think this is a yellow squash. I actually think it's something else, but I don't see any female flowers on this one. And if it doesn't hurry up and produce, I don't think it's gonna make it. Over here we have a Cherokee purple, and it's the first to actually have a real tomato right there. Look at that. And it has a couple of beautiful flowers as well. So the Cherokee purples are just the stars of the garden space. It's definitely going to have to be trimmed down. I do see a couple of suckers that need to kind of come off. But it's absolutely beautiful, very healthy. As a tangent, can we take a moment to just appreciate the beauty of these flowers? I mean, I can't imagine that I grew these from seed. Now when this one actually dries up, I will be able to take this. I just literally throw them in a brown paper bag and just yeah, save the seed for next year so we don't have to purchase them. I mean, they're beautiful. All right, back to the squash. So beautiful, beautiful patty pan squash here. And I did spray all of these down with BT. Hopefully they survive long enough to produce. But this area looks a mess. So we have some cinnamon basil over here that needs to kind of be trimmed, and there's some dying borage which needs to come out. And then there's an Amish paste tomato here which could be staked up. And then behind it, I do believe, outside of this borage which has to come down because it's a mess, there is some type of squash. I don't even know what type of squash it is no more. This is a patty pan squash. I can see there by the baby. But I don't know if what's going on back there is actually the same plant or a different plant. I think it might actually be a honey nut squash. I just don't know where it starts. This is another tomato here. Doesn't have any flowers. I just need the prune because I don't even know what this is. I don't even know where this plant is, where it starts at. And I sprayed the kale down with diatomaceous earth and BT as well, and look at that. So I can actually harvest from that and keep my plant intact. Look at this. We do have tomatoes. We have the mugwort growing back pretty strong. Oh, our mystery tomato has grown some fruit. I wish I knew what it was. I have no clue. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about this garden space. Just a week's worth of rain, and there's a forest. It's beautiful. It's just like jungle here. And then you keep the board, you expect for it to go this way, and it actually ends up leaning back that way. And so there's crevices of space here that isn't quite present over here. This stinging nettle was growing back in pretty well. This actually could use another harvest, so maybe in a day or two I'll come out and take this one, as well as some, well, everything. The kale has to come, and then also need to get the peppermint out of here, and some bunching onions. And then we do have a bunch of vine weed that needs to come out. But our peppers have peppers on them, which are great. These are still quite puny. The ones on the porch are way bigger, but cayenne peppers, all of them. And they all have fruit, which is impressive. Except the kale is doing really well, so that BT must have worked wonders. That and the bird population is helping. I do see like pecks here. And we do have some chamomile that desperately needs to be picked at this point. I mean, look how much of it is. Look at that. In this section we have a large combination of zinnias and bunching onions and squash of various assortments and okra and tomatoes, and it's just a lot of overplanting. Can we take a moment to appreciate the first winter squash in the last 2 years to come out of this garden from just a random seed? It's beautiful. We do have one that wasn't pollinated completely, so that's going to come off. One lone okra that is standing its own. So wonderful. And yeah, they're starting to do really well. I get the sense that they're not thriving as well as I would like for them to, just because of the amount of rain we've had. But they definitely have put on some thickness, so I'm appreciative of that. Looking for fruit, actually. Let's move this up here. It's over here. Oh, look at that. It's a female. 2 of them. I hope they make it and I pollinate it. Look at that one there. I'm pretty sure that one's pollinated. It's huge. So another okra here. Literally just been putting the snaps around the arm area so I don't choke them out. Look at the leaves. Jess is right, they do look like tree stars. And this one, ouch. That one looks like an unpollinated squash down there. But we do have another yellow squash coming in. And we have this little okra too. Not so little anymore, one of the bigger ones. I definitely overplanted. Next year I know to go easy on these garden beds. I'm gonna also have to heavily fertilize them as well. So we have all of our okra here, and then our zinnia is about to open up. Oh, look at that. Hey, Smokes. You're cute. Hi, honey. Hi, Donnie. Beautiful flower. Just double checking to make sure we don't have any. Oh, there's one. Ow. Just Wish they weren't so prickly. Knot, twist, and pull. Yep. Sweet. Got another squash. These plants we got a few more coming in too. It's beautiful. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your gardens are doing wonderful this year. I know a lot of you guys actually have tomatoes. I've seen a lot of those in the gardening channels and the gardening groups on Facebook. Still kind of jealous about that. We don't even have our cherry tomatoes yet this year, but fingers crossed we will get there. We're just a little late, that's all. So yeah, I hope your gardens are doing well. I hope that gardening hasn't completely thrown you off yet from all of the predation and all of the various beautiful insects that are attacking the garden spaces. Hopefully your gardens didn't get attacked too much. I'm actually quite thankful, cross my fingers it doesn't happen, that we do not have Japanese beetles this year, but I attribute that more to the bird population that doesn't have its fill of mulberries and less to the fact that I did not have them in the garden space, because we get hit with them every year. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a great and wonderful day.